Have you ever thought about journaling and then never started? Or even tried once, but then got overwhelmed and it kind of just fizzled out? Because I've done the same thing. And so I kind of wanted to share with you my journaling tips and tricks and kind of how I set mine up to actually do it in a real life way. It's not going to be some copy and paste system, do exactly what I do. It's just guidelines that you can follow to take what I do and make it your own. I'm Cade, I'm an engineer straight out of college, and I'm just trying to live a more intentional life, and I want to share what I'm learning with everybody else that's kind of in a similar stage of life as me. First things first, the journal itself is actually going to matter, and what I like to use is a bullet journal because it kind of gives you the freedom of a blank page, a blank canvas to kind of play around with and do whatever you want. You know, it's blank, nice, just has dots all over, but it still gives you the structure of lines or a grid system. I thought about buying those fancier pre-made planners, but honestly, they just really weren't worth the cost for me, and there was going to be some stuff that I didn't exactly use, so I didn't want to sink $30-$40 into a journal and have a bunch of blank pages or a bunch of blank spots that I don't even use. I honestly just got the cheapest bullet journal that I could find on Amazon, and it doesn't even have page numbers, but I really don't use the page numbers because I don't really build indexes anyway. One thing that I do like that's nice about it is it has these ribbons to kind of use as bookmarks, but if you don't have that, you can notice I also have a sticky note to kind of bookmark the beginning of the year. So really just take a journal, find what works for you, and make it your own. The goal here really isn't aesthetics, it's consistency and actually being able to use what you buy. So the next thing we want to do is high level setting up your year. And this is kind of somewhere where people go overboard, go fancy with the planning, the colors, the art, all that stuff. And I try to avoid that. So all I do is I write my vision for the year, and I talk about like the plans that I want to have done, what my vision for the year is, and just write my basic goals. Nothing crazy. It literally takes one page right here. I have it all right there. I don't try to go crazy with the layouts, and I don't try to be perfect, just honest with myself. So the next thing that I actually do that actually requires some setup and some layout is the monthly setup. This is what the month planner looks like. I just have the days of the month and the days of the week listed on the left hand, and I have just the highlights of what happened every single day. You see I just write across the page and keep track of everything. And this is the most important part of the journal, is just making sure those little happies of life don't go undocumented. I love this setup for myself because it just lets me highlight everything that happened in a day, and I can view it at a monthly level, and I can see little things that happened that I would completely forget if I didn't write down, like having chocolate chip pancakes on a random Saturday morning. And those are the little things that you want to capture in a journal. I wanted to show you an older layout that I used from over a year ago, just to show kind of how my journaling setup has evolved. It's still the same like overall layout, but on the left hand side I used to put how my habits and my mood have been just over the course of the day, and then on the right, that's where I'd write the highlights, which is stuck around. And then I also used to have a habit tracker, but I kind of got away from the habit tracker because now I do it at the weekly level, and this was really just kind of discouraging, using a dot to show the habits that I had completed and an X to show the ones I didn't, and then for these numeric values that I wanted to track, I just wrote those down the column. And I really found out that I wanted to write more highlights. And you notice down here I kind of had like my bigger monthly goals. So this is just showing how that's evolved. Your journaling journey will evolve as well. And so that's why there's no one size fits all method when it comes to journaling. So the next thing is setting up weekly planning. After the monthly spread, I get into planning the week. These weekly plans tie back to my annual goals. I track bigger objectives that I want to achieve to reach my goals, things like going to church and my goals tied to that, filming videos, and just major priorities I want to get done for the week. I don't plan my days hour by hour. I don't even set up a spread in my journal for this like some people do with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and blocking it out like that. My routine is pretty simple. My days are pretty much the same. I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I eat dinner with my wife, and then I just work on my goals in my free time and on the weekends. So it really didn't make sense for me to build layouts I don't use, and I even have a separate workflow system that I have at work that I keep there, and I just keep my personal journal at home.
Week planning looks like this. I just say, all right, this is the week. These are my goals I want to reach for this 12-week period. And then I just keep track of each thing. So like my goal is to eat under 15,750 calories for the week. How many times did I do that? I only did it 3 times, so I missed the goal.
Now, onto the more granular stuff, and that's my daily to-do list. I write this after the weekly plan, and I write a to-do list every night before bed, and I try to keep it under 8 items. I even include habits that I do every single day, like going to the gym, reading my Bible, and reading my book before bed, and then I add just a few meaningful tasks. That can be anything that I want to get done for the day and I'd be proud of at the end of the day. I don't want to stack every single little thing in my to-do list. Writing a to-do list is an art form in itself that you kind of need to work through and figure out. I will still put some kind of smaller chores like doing the dishes or doing the laundry on here.
To the daily to-do list, kind of what that looks like, I just, like I said, write the date, write the day, and what are the main tasks I want to get done. This is a little bit full. I said to try to keep it to 8, but life gets in the way, and just try to make to-do lists in a way that works for you. And also just keep it fluid. Sometimes you'll notice I just have random entries that I want to add. I don't hold myself to doing this every day or even every week or every month. It's just when I have something that I want to add or get off my chest, I just add it to it. So for example, this is a book I finished reading, Man's Search for Meaning, and I just kind of wanted to reflect and see how the book made me feel and what I thought about it.
The goal really is progress and not putting pressure on yourself here. So last but not least, I do weekly and monthly reviews at the end of each time period. So at the end of the week, I give myself a score based on a percentage of what all goals I achieved, and my goal is to get 80% of this per week. So for example, if you look into my week 2 score,
then I have the percentage score of that week, which was 11 out of 14 goals, 78.6%, and obviously I'm trying to get 80, and then I just write down why I missed my goals, why I made my goals, and then how can I adjust for the next week to actually better myself and get more out of this journaling technique.
I do the same thing with the month. I write my outputs, the things I want to track to achieve my goals, and I just reflect on the month. I take this chance to kind of review what all happened, all those little notes that I took down throughout the month, and this is where I can just reflect on the month and learn from it and carry it over to my new month, and then the cycle just repeats itself. Setting up the month, then setting up the weeks, then doing your daily to-do list built into that. So if you want to journal, don't overthink it. Just start simple and then let it evolve naturally, kind of like mine has. Because forced systems don't last, and if you kind of hold yourself to some high standard of journaling and keeping it pretty nice and neat, you probably won't stick. Maybe just start simple and then grow into that if that's what you like to do. I actually have a friend that he literally just has a daily planner that he bought from Walmart, and he just writes bullet points every single day of what he does. And he's been doing it for years. And he loves being able to look back on his life. And honestly, wouldn't you want to do the same? I mean, that's why you want to journal, right? So just start today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.